questions. Michael.
Thanks. I'll be brief on this. First off, great job for all staff involved. Congratulations on two fronts. One is being unseen. You don't see major roadways taken up. We hear about filming happening in Richmond, but you show up the next day and you don't even see anything. They're tucked away, and it's really uses the space well, private land as well as public. Also, congrats to the record revenues that came in. On page page 9, I think, says the 635,000 in income. That's great. I guess I have two questions. One is what's our staff number involved in this office? And then secondly, I've heard it from a number of residents. The one filming site that they had the most questions or not so much concern about was whatever was filming at the west end of Garry Point Park for a long time. So my question is, from this report, it refers to prep, wrap, and hold days. Was that filming, whatever that was that just an excessively long amount of prep, wrap, and hold that was going on, or was it actually a lot of filming days? So those two.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, to answer your first question, the film office has one full-time staff member and works with several city departments. And then to answer your second question, the production that filmed at Garry Point Park filmed in 2020. So the numbers in the report for 2021 don't include the prep, wrap, and whole days for that particular production.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any further questions? Someone would like to move adoption? All those in favor? Contrary, carried. Next item is the hunting by permission program update. And who's got that? Greg. Yeah. Any can't hear you.
Can't hear him. I got no volume here.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, maybe I can step in while Greg gets that working. We don't have anything to add to the report. We're happy to answer any questions. Mike Thorne from the Richmond Rod and Gun Club is here and also available to answer questions.
Okay, do we have any questions from committee? Michael.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. If Mike wants to speak first, that's fine.
We'll go second. Thank you. I prefer to go last. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So my questions to staff from the report then. It does have a nice table there on page 17. At the top, there's a summary of all this statistics. But I guess I have kind of two questions that come from that table. There's only 7 properties where this program occurred. And I know for privacy reasons, there's no map that shows where those exact 7 properties are. But I guess what I'd like to know, and other residents I've spoken to who live in this area, they would like to know if one of their neighboring properties is one of the 7 that's used for these 12 passes. And I appreciate the greater clarity and awareness of requirements that come with the work that's been done and part of this program, which I think is great. But I also, I also see the fact that in the report it highlights that it mentions the farmers benefit from management of wild waterfowl and the mitigation of damage to their crops. But some of the people I've spoken to who did respond to the survey, they mentioned other things that weren't in the report, things such as just general public safety. The fact that the back of the Richmond Country Club golf course is close to some of these properties. The fact that biodiversity gets startled, not just the waterfowl that's maybe the problem bird of the day, but all the other species that live there, they get impacted by the hunting that could occur in their area. And then finally, just the startling of people's animals, people who keep horses we're trying to educate the youth how to ride horses and then deal with scary, loud noises that shoot people off the back of the horse or startle the chickens and all that stuff. And I also feel that for 300 letters that went out, we only got 21 respondents. And of those, 50 say they supported the program. I don't know from the report if the other 50% didn't support it or didn't say if they support it or not support it. So those are just some of the things that I've, after talking to some residents who live in this area, they're concerned as well. So I'm not sure if you could speak to that. And then I have 2 questions more, which I could ask Mike. Maybe I'll ask staff first after.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, can you now hear me?
Yep.
I apologize about that. Sorry about that. Councillor Wolf, there was 7 properties. 6 of those properties were east of 6 Road, and 1 was south of Steaston Highway. So that the majority of the hunting happened in that zone. Again, as part of the report on page 26 of your package, it gives an example of a property that was allowed, hunting was allowed, and that property, each of those maps shows the approximate dimensions of the property and also reviews, shows proximities to neighboring properties such as golf courses, etc. And so as a result, from that map, the hunter then would work with the farmer or the landowner to ensure that they maintain the appropriate buffer on any of those properties when they're hunting.
Great, thank you. Then my follow-up or separate line of questions, actually it's all in the same area. So my 2 questions related are, what about statistics for people hunting in the Southern Islands, south of the South Arm, that are part of Richmond, that are considered the open hunting? I know that's not what this report is updating on, but could staff comment, are those actually being used? And then the second one related to that, are people allowed to shoot from boats and hunt waterfowl on the river? Because I've heard some of the residents who are in these areas who are also close to the river, that's where they're hearing shooting coming from as well. So could you comment on the South Islands and shooting in the river?
Sure. Through the chair to Councillor Wolf. So south of the dike, Richmond's Islands are over approximately 550 meters from the outside of the South Dike, and they are only boat accessible. Also, sometimes there is, my understanding is there is hunting on Weston Island and on Delta, and sometimes you can hear shotgun blasts from neighboring Delta. So yes, they can get out there and hunt. It is included in the bylaw, but it is only boat access, and it is over 500 meters from our outside of the dike.
Great. And then that second question was about, is it part of this program to be able to be in your boat just in the river and hunt in the river?
Not that I'm aware of, and I'll have to follow up with the Rod and Gun Club to confirm that. But it doesn't show that in the bylaw that's okay. Allowed.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Greg.
Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Harold. A good report. Thank you very much for the summary. It's very comprehensive. I just have a question, and maybe it's how I'm interpreting on page 18 and 19. Where hunting is permitted, we have 30 reflective signs, 24 by 30 of yellow metal, and we have an example, I believe, on page 27. It's a good sign. I'm not going to complain about. But where people are invited to request private property no hunting, we're going to put an 8.5 by 10 sign up. And I guess my question, the 7 people requested it. I question the size, to be quite frank with you. I wouldn't be able to see that if I was walking by, to be quite frank with you. I'm concerned about the size and equality of sign. I wonder how many are put on these people's property and where they're placed. Are they placed in Visigal? I know we haven't, nobody has commented, just said no comments were received, but I have received some verbal comments. and I hope those properties are respected. But an 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 11 is the size of this page. And if I was 30 feet away from it, I wouldn't be able to read anything. I wouldn't even know what it's all about. And I'm not saying maybe we need a similar signage and just the gun with the no shooting sign on it. Anyhow, I really question that, and I'd like to know what the comment of those 7 requests are and how they feel about those signs.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, each of those we sent out 7 packages, and each of those packages included 3 sets of signs. They're an 8.5 by 11 in a landscape format and high contrast. And we even included the holes punched in the corners and the zap straps to ensure that they could put them up where they wanted to. And again, we have more signs if they feel they need more.
Okay, they put them up themselves then.
Yes, where they feel appropriate.
And we didn't do that for them. Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, we wait and see what should be transpiring from it. Thank you.
Okay, I've got a couple of comments to make, but probably from a little bit different point of view. When they banned hunting at Sturgeon Banks 30 years ago, we had about 20,000 snow geese out there. And when the hunting ended, the birds suddenly discovered they could come into the city, into city parks. There's now 120,000 birds. But not only that, widgeon, which was a very small amount of ducks that also graze grass, were in very small flocks, and those flocks are growing. We can't plant a hay crop anymore because the widgeon ripped the grass out by the roots. 3 years ago, I guess it was, when it snowed, they actually totally ate our entire cauliflower crop because the leaves are sticking up above the snow. And if you plant any other crops other than cauliflower, and even if there is no snow, they'll pull them up by the roots and eat them. They love cranberries. And the flock of widgeon that are in our field have grown from 40 birds to about 1,000 birds. And I guess my question is, have the widgeons started moving into the cranberry fields yet? Because if they do, we've got a serious problem. So does anybody know, has anybody been keeping track of the bird increase? We saw what happened with the snow geese, and the same thing is happening with the widgeon, they like the roots of plants, and they pull out the grass, pull out the plants. Does Greg or anybody know? Maybe Mike will. I'm not sure.
To the chair, Councillor Steeves. Each year, as we ramp up or spool up this program, we pull various parties together. And one of the persons that we pull together is a biologist from the provincial government, and we consult with this individual and have conversations. So in previous years, the widgeon population has never come up as a question or a concern from his point of view or awareness.
Yeah, he may not be aware of it. Then we've just seen it grow. It used to just be a handful of ducks, and now it's huge, and we can't do anything about it. So, and we've lost, I guess, over the years, just from forage, and that's probably a couple of $1,000s a year in forage because we lose a month's grazing in the spring because of the damage of the widgeon. Anyway, Mike Thorne, did you want to comment?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, councillors and chair. My name is Mike Thorne. I'm president of the Richmond Run Gun Club. And I had a couple things to say, and then I'll get right to your question there. We were started in 1955. We've been involved in the community for over 67 years, from the early days of the Steeston Salmon Festival with floats, running the barbecue for 20, 30 years there. And then we're also found with the founding of the Richmond Nature Park. We run archery and airgun divisions under Olympic rules. We host many shooting events in both archery and airgun. And we are involved with Fishing Forever, a program where we take handicapped as a right, challenged people, and we go out to Green Timbers. It's a stocked lake. We set up the tents, provide musicians, sing songs, all the hot dogs, all the fishing gear they need, and they get to catch fish and have a great day amongst their peers and that for the day. And we supply all the food as well. We have been doing the dike beautification for over 20 years between Canby and the Two Road Bridge as a club. We also do the doggy bags for the Shell Road Trail at Francis and Four Road. and we've been running the hunting by permission program since 1983. We've made a lot of improvements in our hunting by permission program over the last couple of years. The farmers are protected, and for us, they get a service done for them as well. We've made maps showing hunters where they can hunt in your fields, raised the insurance from the provincial limit, which is only $2 million, to $5 million for the municipality of Richmond, which is not an easy thing to do because a lot of people belong to clubs that, like BC Wildlife Fed, and that always carries your insurance. You already got $2 million with that. So the shooters have to go out and get additional insurance. We verify that the hunter has all the necessary paperwork, licenses, maps, and signatures before they are issued a pass. The hunters have built a really good rapport with the farmers in the community over the over the years, with many of the hunters hunting on the same property for a lot of years and having the privilege of taking their children out, mentoring them, introducing them to the sport and their grandchildren. It's just a fantastic opportunity, which is getting sort of crowded out, which is a shame. It's a terrific bond. The hunters help the farmers by keeping the farmers from devastating their fields. The birds can eat out a field in a couple of days, causing financial loss for their livestock and both fuel, seed, time to replace what was lost, just as you were just saying, Mr. Steves. And with that being said, the widgeon are definitely in East Richmond in the fields out there, and the snow geese were in there thick last year as well, right? And I know for a fact two of the farmers out there have had to replace their seed in their fields in the last year. One from widgeon and one from the snow geese. Hunting within the ALR has always been allowed, and it's safe, and it has benefits for the farmers and hunters. The Richmond Ron Gun Club has been working along with the city in a proactive way in upgrading our rules and hunters' knowledge. The hunters have a sizable investment in equipment and they've taken the time to take courses so that they're prepared to go out in the field. There's no hunting incidents reported to the city or the Richmond Ron Gun Club over the last hunting year. As stewards of the Hunting by Permission program, the Richmond Ron Gun Club believes that with all the insurance, hunter training, maps, license, and personal info the hunter has to have, the RGCC Richmond Ron Gun Club sees that it's safe and hunting should be able to continue within the city. Are there any other questions coming from the floor?
Councillor Day had her hand up. Did you have a question of Mike? Yeah, Councillor Day.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure who can answer this, but I see on the list that 6 of the 12 pass holders are Richmond residents, which means 6 are from somewhere else. Is that reciprocated with other communities? Is there a lot of Richmond hunters hunting in Delta or Langley, other communities?
Absolutely. From Cloverdale and that all the way in. Ladner's a big hunting community, and we all share the islands together. It's just like that. A lot of the farmers in Richmond are related to the farmers in Ladner and Delta, and they all interact together. And so it's very common, actually.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I was hoping that was the case. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Just 2 questions for Mike. One, did you hear my question earlier about shooting waterfowl from a boat? And the bird is also on the water. Where would that fall?
Okay, you're allowed to hunt from a boat and discharge a firearm as long as it's not going in a forward motion. So that means you can be sitting out there at anchor or do whatever. You're just not allowed to pursue the game and chase them down and fire at them. I can be out there and there can be a flock of geese flying over me, and I'm allowed to fire out of my boat. I'm allowed to start my boat up, go retrieve them, and that's how that sits.
And so just to follow up on that, so that's not you don't need a requirement for a permit from any city to do that because you're stationed in the Fraser River.
You still need all your hunting licenses and all your permits, if that's what you're saying. You still got to have all that stuff. And then,
So
but
what-
you are free then to go out on your own in the boat. You're not on private land or anywhere. And like the chair Greg was saying, that you're over 550 meters from shore, and everybody's shooting all those gray areas from shore. You're shooting away from shore, so making the distance larger really doesn't increase the safety because you're not shooting towards shore anyways. You know, you could put it right at the ditch line and you're shooting away from shore, so it's actually making it safer because you're giving yourself a bigger buffer, right, so to speak, right?
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Mike, further question on that.
Yes.
When hunting was on Sturgeon Banks, it was quite common to hunt from a duck punt. But I would gather hunting from a boat is required in the islands because you got to have motorization to get there. But would they not be setting up along the shore with in their punt or their motorized boat with decoys and making a set for attracting the geese and the ducks? Would that not be the way they'd be hunting? I have no idea how they do it anymore.
Exactly how that would be done, Councillor Harrell. If we go out there, we find a spot we want to be, we set up our decoys and that, and then it's just a waiting game, right? You call, we have our dogs, the dogs do the retrieving most of the time. It's awesome how you get to work with the dogs and your kids. It's just the best.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay.
Okay, would somebody like to move the motion? Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary, carried. Okay, the next motion, I've sent out a report, and I hope people have noticed it. You don't have to read it yet because it's 20 pages long and it's not finished yet. But it's a draft Steveston Historic Site, Phoenix Gillnet Loft, Britannia Shipyard, Estuarium, Terra Nova Slough report that I've been working on, and I want to move it be referred for the information of committee. Don't want it referred to staff yet because it's incomplete. I've moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor. Hope you get a chance to read it during the summer. Thanks. Okay. Any manager report then?
Hi there. I just wanted to let members of the committee know that the Richmond Maritime Festival is coming up on August 20th and 21st. It's a fully in-person event again this year. There will be pop-up style theatrical and musical performances, hands-on workshops and activities for kids, displays and demonstrations from a number of community organizations, and of course the standard maritime themed decor and installations, and the heritage vessels at the Britannia docks. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any about the festival, but there will be a memo coming your way soon.
Any questions for Rebecca? Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, I too have a manager's update. Further to the invitation provided to council on July 5th, Phase 2 of Aberdeen Neighborhood Park will be officially opened on Wednesday, July 27th at 5:30 p.m. Everyone is welcome. The event will include residents, project consultants, contractor representatives, as well as city staff involved in the project. The event will also include community programming, speeches, and a ribbon cutting, which will take place in the Central Grass area. Specific programming includes food trucks, face painting, chalk art, recreational activities, including basketball, obstacle course, kids game, etc., and other family-friendly activities. There's something here for everyone, young and old. Staff have been actively promoting the event on social media and other platforms. We are expecting a significant turnout for this family-focused event on what promises to be a hot, sunny evening. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me for additional information. Thank you, and we hope to see you there.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, anybody else? Oh, Egan.
Through the chair to the committee, just a quick update on the grass cutting situation in the city. Staff are getting caught up. It feels really good. We are checking off areas and getting over the hump on the grass cutting. Areas that have been most significant concern to residents have included spaces where the city actively practices long grass management, such as Railway Greenway, McAllen Road Greenway, and Bridgeport Industrial Park. These have been sites that have been most residents have expressed most concern about. Staff have engaged with residents on site for meetings to address the concerns. At Railway, Greenway, and Bridgeport Industrial Park, there is fairly good interpretive signage that explains the practice of long grass management and the benefits. There is not the same duplication of this message at McAllen Road Greenway. So should council provide direction, staff can certainly follow up by providing signage at this site.
It seems to me that'd be a good idea. It's rather strange that people want to have everything manicured, because long grass is habitat. Long grass is good for the soil, and all you got to do is make sure that the grass is maintained and keeps the weeds out of it. But there's nothing wrong with long grass. Okay, Michael?
Yes, to the chair, I'd like to make a motion that we expand the education beyond what was just mentioned. So I think I heard McCallum, but McLean Park is the one out in Hamilton that has a few sections. And there's some other areas on city land as well that could just use some of that signage around long grass maintenance. So I'd like to make a motion that we expand it beyond, I think, the two that were described as having it already.
Okay, do we have a seconder of that? That would be a referral, I guess. Yeah, Bill, all those in favor? Contrary? Carried. So if staff would look into that and see what you can do. Okay.
Noted.
Anybody else? Okay, looks like we must be done. So somebody move we adjourn, and then we'll go in camera. All those in favor of adjournment? Contrary? Carried.